Hey, hey. What's going on, everybody? It is Sunday night. And Akon did not get picked this round for the SAS, nor did you get picked, Raz?
No, but Amelia did.
Amelia did? Yeah, Amelia did.
Fuck yeah.
Team Pterodactyl.
I love Team Pterodactyl. You know why the most? Because there's no clowns on it. And again, not a problem with clowns per se, but it's like you look in the SAS and over half are clowns. So it's odd to even see a team where there's not a clown in there.
You know, the SAS this year, I don't think there's that many. There are a few clowns, right? But it seems more or less along.
Oh, there's a lot of clowns.
Single page.
You're
page,
right.
There's a minimum of one clown. Some pages, there's only one non-clown on them. I mean, that's normal, though. I mean, honestly, it is normal. You'll get a lot more clowns for things like this because there's a lot more clowns that are active in the industry, like outside of just their haunts.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's one. It's like it's weird. It's like the easiest but hardest, thing to do is be a clown in the haunt industry.
Yeah,
like it's easy.
It's the hardest. Yeah,
it's easy to pick it up and do stuff with it.
Yeah.
But it takes time to perfect your craft with a clown and stuff like that.
I tell everybody it's a good first role to haunt to get over like any fear you've got or anxiety to get yourself out there. But if you want to really be a clown, there's a lot of awesome things you got to stick in there and do and try because there's a lot of different kinds of clowns, a lot of different cool stuff. But it's hard to master.
Graduated clown college.
You're not late.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
That's true.
Izzy, you're not late at all.
College.
Yeah, we just started. We were there watching with you.
We were watching it.
Yeah.
Go Team Pterodactyl. Woo!
Yeah.
Dizzy, did you get picked this round? Or no, he didn't. No.
Yeah, no, Dizzy's safe this round.
But Spook is in there.
Yeah, Spook is, yeah.
That's a hard
Boobat
person to be put up against is Spook.
I know.
We're going to have to pull in Amelia this week and do something with her and like talk some shit.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I started as Jason and now I'm a dead miner.
We have we had an idea behind.
Yeah.
We had an idea, Raz and me, because we had Frankers and Razzles or Razzles and Frankers.
No, I guess Frankers and Razzles. I think that sounds better, honestly. The F.
Yeah, but the humble way, the humble way of doing it is always putting.
Alphabetical.
Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
It's alphabetical. Is what people usually do, like to not hurt people's feelings. But I just think Frankers and Razzles sounds better than Razzles and Frankers. You know what I mean? Like there's just something about the
Frankers sounds like crackers to me. I don't know why. It just reminds me of that.
You're crackers. I'm gum. I'm candy gum. Apparently.
Well, so we had this idea to do stuff like pop culture or whatnot along those lines, and then this gentleman down here reached out to me because I haven't talked to him forever. So originally, like I had interactions with the WLFE, and we were doing some Godzilla shows on there, and then all of a sudden, like Rob was one of them on there. He was on there with me, and he reached out, and I don't know. I got pretty stoned the other night, so I know the conversation, but I know I had a conversation.
He was loud. He was loud about that conversation too. Like,
should I recap for the audience then?
You should.
Yeah, go ahead and recap.
Okay. Well, allow me to first introduce myself. As Frank said, I'm Rob. I run since the 2 years. I started up a business called Cloaking Arbiter Prints and Customs. and I run at the time I was also, and I still do, how they found me originally was I was running a small YouTube channel for Cloak and Arbiter figurine toy reviews. Clearly here are the figurines. But
It's nothing but Godzilla. Behind him.
Alien versus Predator, there's Halo stuff here, but I digress. 2 years ago we talked, and it was right around the drop of Godzilla vs. Kong, or GVK for short. And we did 2 shows together, one on the other guy's channel, Teddy Talks, whatever his channel, and then we did the second one on yours. And I loved how majority of those predictions, for those of you who did see that one, it was right on everything. Everything I said was right. But
did you say that Mechagodzilla was going to actually be in his own
I
flesh?
Said he was going to be in it. My
no, but wasn't
no. What I said was, Mechagodzilla is going to be the reason why Godzilla is going around tearing ass at all these locations. And as I pointed out, they're only Apex Legends or Apex sites, which that was a lot of in the promotional material. But where I predicted was what's going to happen is, and my exact wording was, Kong and Godzilla are going to have their final round. Godzilla's going to kick the shit out of Monkey Man. Monkey Man's going to lose. Then what's going to turn around? Mecha G is going to show up, beat the shit out of Godzilla, like through and through.
Okay, this is the first movie, though. This is the first movie that Mechagodzilla actually officially had Godzilla on the ropes. The other movies, Godzilla's always been there.
No. Even his first appearance, Mecha G has done quite a bit of a number. No. Go back to the original films. Mecha G has always had an upper hand on Godzilla, where Godzilla has always been able to get back. He had
a slight upper hand, and they kind of like neutralized each other. And then with the main fight, with the main fight in Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, the original one from the 70s, that is when he really just tore everybody up.
In the original, in 73, it was Godzilla and King Caesar versus Mechagodzilla. Then Terror, Titanosaurus, which started out working with Mecha G, ends up, stop being controlled, switches sides, works with Godzilla. And then you had the Heisei era, where you had Mecha G2, which at that moment, again, Mecha G pretty much kicked his ass for most of the film, and then Rodan ends up pulling like the Mothra move in 2019, where he sacrifices himself, and he comes back and he kicks his ass again. And then finally, in the Millennium era, you have Kiryu and the Absolute Zero Gun about devastated Big G's happy ass. But once again, Big G came out on top only because of like the whole thing with the soul in the bottom, like the soul of the older Godzilla being in Kiryu or whatever. But
the whole thing with that series, the Millennial series, each movie was a brand new sequel to the original movie and all that stuff.
But here's where I'm excited, the original, guys, because the next Kong and Godzilla movie is going to be a buddy cop movie. And that's what that's kind of oddly excited.
From the rumors I am hearing, most of the film they're supposed to be separated, and at the very end they're supposed to meet up, and it's supposed to be like, oh fuck, you again.
Yes, again. Yeah.
That's basically
a Tango and Cash situation, but with
But I'm hearing that Space Godzilla is supposed to be the enemy, and I'm not real thrilled about that. You would think I would be because of all this, but no. In fact, I'm actually kind of wishing it was Destroyer. Even though I wasn't happy with what they did with the Oxygen Destroyer in 2019, you had a movie in between.
I don't know. That was actually kind of cool. I mean, you got to take some liberties and stuff like that, and you got to do some your own stuff with it.
Well, look at what Legendary has done to kind of keep it grounded in our reality. Doing Space Godzilla is kind of really fucking out there. Destroyer, on the other hand, is well within that realm, because you can again blame it on the Oxygen Destroyer that they used in the 2019 film, because they established using it. Which in the Heisei era, Godzilla versus Destroyer is supposed to be the byproduct of the weapon that Serizawa made in the 54 film. So it definitely would go hand in hand, but I'm hearing it's Space Godzilla. So I'm definitely curious to see what it is. It's a Godzilla film I'm not going to miss, but not the monster I would have picked given what the lineup has been, what we've seen so far.
You distracted me. You keep bringing comments up.
I'm laughing at JD. Hey, it's time. It's butt stuff time.
Yeah, right.
And then, hey, Victoria Versace. I never say her full name all the time. We're just talking butt stuff.
Just the butt stuff.
And me without my sandpaper dildo.
Hi, Vice.
You're gonna get a lot of butt stuff with Frankers and Razzles in the future because I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Butt stuff is pop culture, so it's
It is-
definitely
it
pop
is
culture.
Pop culture.
But Frank, not to
Slane,
get
I was
off,
coming in.
not to
That'd be on
get
the
too
pop
terribly
part.
off topic from what the original thing you asked me was, the prediction was that Kong would show up, save Godzilla, they would end things okay, and that would basically be it. And I was right on that. And then after that, we basically disappeared for like 2 years. I started my own business. And then last night I reached out to you, just saying, hey, what you were up to. And you invited me on the show tonight. So I was like, yeah, I got nothing better to do. Fuck it, I'm here. So there we go. We got that done. We got that part done.
If I was a Power Ranger, that would be my Zord. Butt stuff?
If I was a Power Ranger, I would definitely be alive right now. I say this like intentionally, not to just be a dick about it, because I actually love that guy and I met him at a million cons and he was super sweet. But my boy Matt was pretty messed up when that happened, and I was staring right at him when I said that, just to mess with him.
Did you see his last video?
Yeah.
What's his name again? Jason? Not Jason. What's his name?
What was his real name?
What is the Green Ranger's name again? I can't think of his name. But anyway, the last video, he looked like he poisoned himself, and he was actually in the middle of dying. No joke.
I know his.
And it was Jason, by the way. It's Jason David Frank.
Jason David. I was about to say Jason Todd, but that's
Jason Frank.
That's Robin.
How do you not remember that?
I don't know.
Yes, the Scurry Face Twitch viewers came over here.
Hey,
nice.
We love you guys. SAS for life.
Oh,
Amelia.
There's Amelia, who everyone is voting for.
Guys, you got to vote for her. It's a free for all the first round.
Yeah, that's part of our team Pterodactyl right there, and it's a really important, man. You got to keep her around.
I'll pretend I know what we're talking about. Woohoo, Pterodactyl!
I do that all the time, man. It's called smiling and nodding.
You want to explain it?
So we're not in this round yet. We're going to be, but the first poll, our teammate here.
Explain what the SAS is.
I'm going to in a second. It's a Scare Actor Spectacular, and basically a bunch. This year, it's 115 people competing. And I think so, Prometheus.
Oh no, Prometheus, you're good.
I think
you got to make a stand in that relationship, man. Make a stand.
Should I vote for Amelia?
Vote for Amelia.
Yep.
Why is my brain going Amelia?
I was too. We're gonna.
I was like Amelia.
I decided we're going to meme this week
for some reason.
And there she was herself, the mighty duck, Amelia, the mighty pterodactyl, and I was like, Amelia.
She's a mighty duck. She's also a vampire, so she's Duckula. Then
she's
Duckula. Mighty Ducks. Old movie too.
Tom
shit.
King, what is
Hey.
up? Oh, speaking of that, wait, right there. Wearing your
Look it.
I'm wearing October Noir merch right now.
Yes,
nice.
guys, go check out October Noir.
Sorry.
Okay, so because I'm too squirreled to actually explain this.
SAS is a thing, right? Where hunters get together across not just our country, but the world, and we compete in the SAS. The Scare Actor Spectacular. This year, 115 people were chosen, but only one will survive.
This guy sells it.
And we vote every
he's
every
better
week.
at it.
What a damn coincidence, right?
If I keep this up, she's gonna end me in my sleep tonight.
Akan and I are both in it. We're Team Pterodactyl along with our friend Amelia down over here, and Amelia is competing this week because there's different competitions each week with different
what is
lineups.
It, 3 votes a day or something like that? I
3
think?
votes a day, but you can't do them like all at once. Like you got to put some time in between it because the counter will only accept one space between some others. Yeah,
exactly.
Hello.
Scurryface.com, guys, go there and vote.
Yeah, don't do that like voting 50 times in an hour because that none of it will count. Like even your one vote won't count if you do that. You got to vote low and slow is what we're calling it. Low and
I'm
slow.
dying. Tom, I thought you were
looking at the
about to
screen and
flash
I'm digging
me.
the logo.
I will flat. No.
Then I saw.
I thought you were about to flash me.
Then I saw my own stupid face. Talk about anticlimactic.
He just
Nadine,
needed
I'm going to raise you and end the world and say, coming this summer.
Tom King just
on your back.
On your back. Well, I feel like that would go with anal and low and slow.
Low and slow.
There you go.
Texas has
Sometimes
the
I
most
just like to
soothing
say
voice
things in
the
my
mic.
radio voice because it's fun.
You know, I do on this mic.
Lauren Slow, yes we do. Oh yes, love it, Lauren Slow. We'll get to
Lauren Slurs. Wait a second.
Oh boy.
Oh
The thing you got to know about us, Rob, is that we squirrel out a lot. Like, it doesn't matter if we have a topic or
See,
not.
you-
This just happens.
You would
Yeah,
like
you-
it
you-
low and slow? I got it for you, low and slow, deep and hard and deep. Would you like God to say that to you?
That's not God. That's Satan in my sleep.
Oh, Prometheus.
Yeah.
That just reminds me of This Is the End. This is not a dream.
I love that movie so much, man. We introduced our kids to that movie just last year, and they died as much as we did.
God, I fucking love that movie. It's great, especially and I just holding on this fucking dick.
Oh my god.
And I got to be honest,
My god.
Emma popping up in that
What am I
movie really
missing here?
surprised me.
Oh,
That
I
made
gotta
me love
say
it
it.
more.
Hold on a second.
I learned them.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Asking me for tree fitty, I'll tell you that right now.
And that's about the time we realized Frankers was the Loch Ness Monster.
Baptize, motherfucker! No lies, motherfucker!
Surprise.
So you got some awesome shit over there behind you, Rob, and I feel like we haven't even talked about any of it yet, and we need
3D
to do that.
printing.
Know first. What do you want to know?
Talk about your
first?
3D
Ask-
printing, like everything, like
Yeah.
stuff
Oh,
like that.
you want to know about the 3D printing?
Tell everyone what you do. There's a lot of people in here right now.
And every sentence you have to end with the phrase "with my dick." I'm joking. Don't do
With
that.
your dick. No, I'm
Well,
not
I do
joking.
3D printing with my dick. It took 2 years to really master the process with my dick. It didn't come with a user manual with my dick.
They never do. That's why we're
It
very
almost
confused.
sounds
as
like
young
you should
children.
say "with my dick" before the user manual. I'm just saying. Like the user manual didn't come with my dick. Well, actually, it does work.
See, it was like a BB gun. They kept telling me I was going to shoot my eye out. Still waiting for that to
You'll
happen.
shoot your eye out.
Oh, okay.
With
I'm
my
sorry.
dick. No.
But I started the 3D printing because literally I was pissed off over NECA and SH Monster Arts missing opportunities with this Monsterverse stuff.
And another thing with those, they tend, some of those are some of the NECA
Playmates.
figures, and what they tend to be hit and miss, right?
Well, early on, NECA definitely was a hit and miss by far. I mean, some of their earlier stuff here for their Space Godzilla, I know it's kind of hard to see with my camera. The earlier stuff, yeah, the tails were not as good. I mean, hell, their 84 Godzilla, they re-released after their first one because of the simple fact that they did such a shitty job on those
They did.
spines, the face sculpt, everything was just horrible. And what also upset me was not really the fact of their quality with the monsters, because regardless, I was buying and putting on my shelf. What bothered me was, one, NECA lost the contract to do Godzilla figures. I mean, gone. They lost that. It was taken over by Playmates. So I was like, okay, now I know what I'm in for there. And then the COOF happened, obviously, but we'll get to that here in a second, which really added to that problem. But what pissed me off was 2019 drops with King of the Monsters, and we get Ghidorah, we get all of these the legendary monsters, Rodan, Ghidorah, Mothra, Godzilla, obviously, and none of the other monsters were touched. Behemoth, Methuselah, Scylla, the Muto Queen, the ones that made an appearance in the film, nowhere to be seen. Hell, I actually have it ordered from Amazon, the actual official version of Behemoth, and guess what it is? A minifigure, no bigger than about an inch tall.
Oh wow!
And that is
wow.
literally the
No.
official fucking version of that character. I've made
Well,
my own. In the past
They also.
yeah, go for it.
No, I was saying that they also within the movie they only. It's crazy. They that was my one complaint about the movie. That was the only thing I can find to complain about. It was the fact that you had these monsters waking up, and yeah, you could. I think you could have focused at least another extra maybe 5 minutes on them.
You did. I did list. I have the novel for King of Monsters and GBK
Yes.
on Audible. I haven't. Unfortunately, I don't have it for the first two, Skull Island and the 2014 film. But the only thing I'm missing in the 2014 film, from all I hear, is the emo Asian kid that's coming out of jail. Apparently, they like to really emphasize on him in the book, from what I hear. So I guess I'm not missing much.
You're not.
Oh, okay, I know you're talking about. Dude.
Yeah, Kong Skull Island, on the other hand, I hear there's some good shit in there that I am missing.
Right.
So I need to sit down and read that one. But I digress. You're absolutely correct. You're correct through and through. These monsters were not focused really on. They show up, they're not there. And it bothered me so much that almost all day and night, as you can see here, I can get my hands on practically every Toho monster in some form of capacity or another, whether it be a vinyl figure, high articulated, you name it, they're there. I mean, hell, the franchise is now going on, what, at 2019 was at 65 years old, so do the math now at 2022.
Yeah, so 3 years later,
20, roughly. So 20,
they're almost 7. It's almost 70 years old.
Roughly. Well, here in about 3 years, roughly, they're going to be having their 70th year anniversary. But it's got the Guinness Book World Record for longest running ongoing franchise that has not been bought or sold at all. It is maintained under the same roof since its inception. No other property can say they've done that. Not Marvel, not DC.
Chucky.
Well, no, exactly. One of the first
Chucky
things that people need to actually.
We got
Which one?
True, yeah, it's not been around as long, but that's the only other property I know of that's still in house since its inception. It's the only other one, but it's
which one was it?
Guinness,
compared to years.
He said Chucky, but Guinness Book for Godzilla holds it for being the longest running and under roof IP. But I digress.
First universe too. Like they were the first. Toho was the first one to do a universe
without even trying.
I'm sorry. The Universal monsters did kind of have their thing.
Yeah, but theirs was very fragmented, and with the introduction of Hammer films, also like kind of diluted the point. I love Hammer films. Don't get me wrong.
I love the Hammer films.
But there was a lot of misconceptions on what was actually Hammer and what was actually Universal. There were so many blurred lines that it kind of destroyed the world that was kind of building itself. Now, so I guess Hammer had the better world.
Now hold up, Raz. Apply now that to a title or a franchise that comes from overseas, that's being dubbed over for US. It's almost the same ball of cats, but with a bigger fucking twist. The bigger twist is shit gets cut, shit gets edited, dialogue is completely changed. I mean, hell, you can watch a Godzilla film with the subtitles on to this day from any era, and I'm going to tell you, the subtitles from what you read and what you hear are not going to be the same.
Oh,
actually, if you've seen go watch Netflix's Singular Point, Godzilla Singular Point, and put these subtitles on. It is the funniest thing because the American cut,
when they mess it up,
the subtitles to the American cut, I mean to the American vocals and everything on there, it's hilarious. I laugh my ass off at it.
And some of the sentences are completely different.
It's definitely something to be desired. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. You can read what it's what's there in the subtitles and hear what's being said, and we're similar.
They were, but they were like it was weird. I mean,
Godzilla is coming, and then you read Godzilla is on his way. Okay, same context, I guess. Okay,
but, exactly.
Not for us to get too far off topic. Back to the customs you were asking. To go along with that story, 2019 drops. We get the monsters. And, I'm actually I've done public speaking, so I've always been good at just redirecting shit. We have a time schedule to keep. Let's go. Excuse me. But 2019 drops, and that kind of really put the fire under my ass for some like, okay, we have these monsters, we do nothing with them. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing these custom creators. One I believe is called David's Kaiju. I've seen on Instagram. Another one is Photon Collectibles. Shout out to those two gentlemen. He's located. Photon's located in England, but I have a couple of his figures on my shelf as well. My Muto set and my Scylla are actually done by him. He doesn't paint the items, but he does high-end articulated versions of them. Something that's beyond my field. My just to kind of jump a little ahead just a little bit, my area of 3D customs is basically solid statues that are in scale with your figures. Paint job holds up, professional paint job. I can do anything just as good as SH or NECA. Sometimes even better, in my opinion. But that's just me.
A lot of people have actually done that with the NECA figures. They literally put together. They drew them out to scale and whatever, and whatever that you do with your 3D printers, and they've actually made them a lot better.
Yeah, I've done that. In fact, I've actually taken figures. Like, for instance, my Mecha Godzilla here is a SH Monster Arts bootleg. I repainted it entirely, and it's fucking better than the damn original SH.
Oh, nice.
My paint job is better than that damn thing.
There's a dream figure with Godzilla I'd like to have custom created. I was really obsessed with this artist a long time. I can't remember the name of him. Who did a lot of Cthulhu and Godzilla artwork, right? It was always like a Cthulhu versus Godzilla like battle artwork. But then he reimagined it as if Cthulhu was Godzilla, because if you think about the lore of Godzilla,
I've seen that figure before.
The way he raises could have been from Riley, right? So I was thinking, what if a Xenomorph hatched out of the Cthulhu Godzilla? What would that look like?
The Raz.
Cthulhu Godzilla Xenomorph, man.
We're getting a little too crazy here.
You just hit Rob's
crazy without
No,
right
it's
there.
been already done. That's what I'm trying to say. He's asking.
Really?
I'm like, dude, it's already been done. In Mexico, there's a guy who's done a bootleg of these. You can actually go online and look up Xenozilla vinyl figure, but it's a Mexican bootleg.
But
and
is
there's
it, but is it
also
crossed
Predator
with Cthulhu
Kong
too, though?
Let me ask you something
There's
real
also
fast.
Predator Kong.
Is there with that can you also find it on a Mexican radio? Would you be able to find would they have an ad?
I
On
can
a
link you
Mexican
to
radio.
it. Just give me after the show. I can easily give you a link.
That's an old dad joke from the 80s right there.
Oh, there you go.
Emotional damage.
I still
But,
want to hear the other characters that you're printing out because I'm
Okay, absolutely. I'm
curious
we'll
to
get to that. The reason even this whole thing started was, again, my hatred of the fact that they, or my love, however you want to look at it, was the fact that these monsters weren't being put out. These legacy monsters were being done. All the easy shit was being done. What annoyed me real so much was that since 1998, after America got its first fucking shot at Godzilla and failed miserably, some would argue that the cartoon show did okay. I digress. It was all right.
Well, it did.
Godzilla Jr. and Cyberzilla right here. So if that tells you anything where I feel about the show.
We'll get to the 98 thing here in a little bit. Go ahead and finish it. I got a lot to say about that.
I'll be going to bed before that, guys. I have to get up at 2:45. They'll probably still be up talking at that time.
Probably.
When you get them started on it.
But I digress. America got its shot for 98. We failed miserably. All of a sudden, 2014 comes around. We get the 2014 film. It did well enough to get Kong Skull Island. Then when Kong Skull Island dropped, they announced that, hey, we're now doing a MonsterVerse. And everyone should remember that. When the 2014 film dropped, there was no MonsterVerse. There wasn't. There wasn't. There wasn't until Kong Skull Island dropped did the MonsterVerse shit become a thing where they really hyped it up. Because what was the tease at the end of Kong Skull Island? The 2019 King of the Monsters with the Battle of Ghidorah. All right?
It wasn't butt sex.
The MonsterVerse was built. And they also announced with the
Godzilla doesn't.
Disagree.
Sorry, I'm making a joke.
Well, they also announced with Kong Skull Island that and Legendary announced it, that, hey, our now goal is to bring these two characters together to fight. So a lot of people who got surprised by that at the end of King of the Monsters, we've known that, at least I've known that since they announced it back in 2017. So I was already geared and pumped for that. But I digress to move ahead. These figures weren't coming out. GVK drops, and I've had fucking enough of it. Because the only other monster we got was from Playmates, and it was Warbat or Nizuki or Bear God, whatever the fuck the other name was. But it went through three names.
It was the one from the comic books, wasn't it?
Nizuki was the first
filler.
Well, first one was like a Barito, some shit like that started with a B. You can find it on Wikizilla. But the second name that was most common, which I liked, was Nizuki, and then for some reason they changed it to Warbat. But
okay, no, I know what you're talking about. I'm thinking of so in between, it was in between Godzilla 2016 while they released the comic book and explained what happened back in 1954. And the real reason was he awoke. Oh, I'm sorry. Was it Dagon? No, it was him.
No. Okay. You're thinking of Godzilla Awakening, and there's actually a problem between those two canons. If you watch now, this is how I've personally chalked it the fuck up to being. The comic is Monarch's canon to Godzilla, his origin. The movie and the montage we see in the beginning of the 2014 film, that's the U.S.'s military's version.
Well, we're splitting up basically propaganda from the U.S., but it is actual canon. The comic books are canon to the entire MonsterVerse.
Well, again, it's funny you bring up the comics. The comics drop out. We get new monsters in there, such as Nikika, which actually I should go back a little bit. For Godzilla Awakening, we got the Ishido Murta. For Godzilla Aftershock, we got the Muto Prime, otherwise known as the Jinshin Mushi. God, it's a bitch to fucking pull these names up.
Yeah.
And then
I don't even go for the Japanese names.
And then for Godzilla Dominion, we got Amulet, Tiamat, and Nikika, which she was in the GVK novel. But there you go. There's about 5 monsters right there. No toys, nothing being done for them. So after GVK hits, I had enough. the news, and this was also right around the time we got all those stimulus checks in from the government. And remember the first, we got what, 3 of them? Well, the first 2 I basically blew, and that's what you see behind me. The third one, however, I was like, all right, Rob, we got to get smart here. All right, let's financially make a fucking decision here that can actually be well within my benefit. So I got that money, and I was still getting the unemployment checks too. So I sat on that money because I was just getting unemployment. And I did my research. I looked into 3D printing, resin, filament, what I want, and I went down resin. And what started off me just wanting to get these characters on my shelf spawned in to an entire business that I had no intention of originally starting, and one that almost got shut down. I was a year into production, hot, ready to trot. Everything was going, getting some business deals going, and then psychologically, I just kind of snapped. I lost it. My wife's, well, right now she's my fiance, but we're going to be married here in October. So, be a married man. Thank you. So pretty much it's my wife, my life, my rock. She pulled me through it. She got me through it. She wouldn't let me quit. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be still doing Cloaking Arbiter prints and customs. But I came back to it, and I've been doing it now for roughly 2 years. And like I said, what started off as this crazy endeavor of being, you know what, I'm so fucking tired of not having this shit on my fucking shelf. I want this shit on my shelf, became to all of a sudden I was doing more than Godzilla. I have customs for Alien versus Predator, alien skulls in scale with my NECA. This particular one right here, I know you can barely see it. This is a gargoyle that's next to my Batman versus Predator display here. That went to being that. I have made customs for Jurassic Park. 2 of them in particular. I've actually got them
We
on
need a
here right
pterodactyl.
Yep, pterodactyl.
Just a straight up pterodactyl.
We just need a pterodactyl. We also have a question for you that goes with what can you do on certain things.
I can do just about anything. Just about anything. I made movie props.
Delphine said that she needs a couple different phases of the Hellraiser box that moves.
Right.
I have a Limershand.
I call the lemon shanty.
The lament configuration
on the way. Are you able to do any of the others?
Hold your horses.
I'm interested in that too, actually. I've got
Everyone has asked me these same questions. And let me first back up to my abilities here. I am dealing with what's called 3D resin. Resin is not the greatest for articulated stuff, depending on what grade you get. A lot of people like Photon Collectibles has really gone far with it, but he's been doing this longer than I have. I'm still in my infancy. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, I do good work. I can toot my own horn, but there is someone out there who still puts me to shame in this line of work. Like, for me, I can make you it if it's a solid object or if you already have it printed and made for me. Those are the 2 options. If it's already made, it's got its articulation shit there for it, yeah, I can paint it for you all damn day, any way you fucking want it. But if you want me to print you something that's going to be articulated out of my 3D printer, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry I can't do that. I can print you a nice size, cool looking statue or basically solid movie props. Sorry for being as close to my mic. But resonating chamber from 3, Grant's Raptor Claw. I can also do my own custom stuff. Perfect example of this is from Amazon. This is Amazon's Raptor Claw. That's my custom work to it. Originally, and you can look it up, it was a piece of shitty plastic. I've made that thing look as best as I can to make it screen accurate.
I have a weird one for you. What about Andre the Giant as a Nephilim?
Could you do that?
If you have a 3D model of it, yeah, I can print it.
We don't, but maybe we could figure that out.
We could figure something out there.
And again, this goes back to my line of work. I can't do 3D models. I like, as in create them. I commission other people.
Susan.
Hey, Susan. I don't know you, but hi. I can't create these objects. These objects either have to be made for me or I have to pay someone to do them. Like I said, it took me 2 years to track down, commission, and or jerry-rig this shelf to create the Monsterverse that I have here. Nice. And still to this day, if there's someone out there who may see this, you know, put me in my place on this. But I only know 5 people off the top of my head who can even come close to what I have on this shelf. Just the American Monsterverse. And why was I so hardcore obsessed again with this, you say? Well, it goes back to 98. You fucked it up the first time. America gets their shot in 2014. They do
Don't even get him started on that.
No. We're not.
Well, you
That's
say
why-
you say fuck up, but the issue,
Okay,
I don't
okay,
think it's a
because-
fuck up.
Okay.
If all you got to do is
Financially,
if you change
financially,
the,
it was a success. I'll give it that.
I'm not
It
talking
was
about
planned
that.
for 2 more films.
I'm not.
Then they realized the backlash, canceled it, did a cartoon. The cartoon had its run. Toho was
All
like,
you have to do is change the name from Godzilla to Zilla, and
which Toho
the movie's
did.
awesome.
Toho
The movie-
bought the
the-
rights back in 2004 just to do that as a joke.
It wasn't just a joke. If you change the name of the movie to Zilla, it's a fun, awesome movie.
Yes, great monster film. Absolutely. I agree all day long. Hell,
That's all you gotta do. And you can sit there just like Toho did. You could
spare
put
your
that
wife
you.
this headache. I have Junior and Cyberzilla and the film and the Taco Bell figure up there. There's enough love for that film on my shelf.
It's a
There's
fun
enough
movie.
love. It is a fun film.
I
But
think it's
again-
funny that anybody, a lot of the people that come up and they're hardcore against that movie. The minute you say change the name of the monster on there, and they're like, it's not a bad movie actually.
Raz is not wrong either. But see, again, I love all kaiju films in general. And the fact is for most people here in the U.S., that film was an introduction to that giant ass monster to begin with.
I'm sorry.
I have to give it the respect for what it is.
I mean, you had Hanna-Barbera
Hey,
though.
But again, there were kids my generation. I'm 28.
Oh, you're a
you gotta
baby.
remember- yeah, I was 4 years
The
old
door
when
that
that
will
film
never
dropped.
close.
I was 4 years old, but still to this day, I have perfect memory of Kmart's, Walmart's, Big Bears. Everywhere you went, there was giant inflatable Godzillas always showing off that stupid fucking eye and that stupid fucking foot saying size does matter. I remember that shit still to this day. I remember that shit well till I was 6 years old, still seeing fucking toys 2 years later. I still remember that. But again, I digress. 98 hits. It didn't do well here. Okay, their shit didn't spawn. All of a sudden, 2014 finally comes around. We get America's second shot at Godzilla, and it does well. It does so well that we get Kong to come in. We get a lineup that was almost, 67 years? No, not 60, but 57 years. Because Kong's like, King Kong versus Godzilla was in 62. So, 10 years after? So it's like 57 years we waited for that lineup fight. And it was done. It was almost done 4 times throughout Godzilla's run, and it failed. And then it's done. But now on top of that, America gets a whole stab at doing all these new monsters, all these original creations. Like, we actually get something new, different, that's inspired by what we love, that pays homage to it, but at the same time, it's new, it's fresh, it's great. And I'm sitting here wondering, as a consumer that buys this shit, why isn't it on the shelf at Target or Walmart for me to buy, or in Big
Capitalism.
Bad Store? You would think capitalism would be the key thing.
I think it's communism. I definitely think it's. I think it's that damn Sasquatch.
But
Stealing
he-
every kid's, all the
Hey, don't
kids'
talk shit
lunches
about my
and
family
everything.
right there, right, man?
Comrade.
You know,
Take it easy on the Sasquatches.
so,
But again, I digress.
So Alan has a
I have a
quick,
fun fact about King Kong. I played football when I was younger, and my actual name when they announced me was King Kong Gilbert. I was number 69 because back then I didn't know what that meant. And I would literally come out onto the field because I was a huge fucking kid.
King Kong Gilbert now coming out, 69
Basically,
on the field.
and they would always announce me last. And I once was on the news for accidentally clotheslining
69
2 kids on the
coming out?
opposing team during a play so hard it broke their face masks. And I was set out for the rest of the season.
Jesus Christ!
They were being assholes between
Should've
plays.
called
I
you
threw some
shit-faced
punk
elephant.
rockers like 10 feet behind me one time, but
he also carried like 4 at one time. It was great. So Alan says, does anyone remember the first time with Ultraman? Or when Ultraman
his first,
made
it was
its first appearance from Japan to the United States.
Was it 6? Well, Ultraman. I think it probably came out over here in the
Earlier.
70s, wasn't it?
Um,
I think it was.
You would think I know about Ultraman because of my relationship with Godzilla, but to be entirely honest, Ultraman never appealed to me.
Well,
Nor
that's
did
the
Gamera.
thing with
It was actually
that's the thing.
late 70s into the early 80s was the Ultraman. I think it was like
Yeah, if I'm
78,
correct,
79,
yeah.
I'm
Because it
wanting
was
to
the
say.
same guy who played the part of Godzilla. He did
Yeah.
Ultraman as well, and he
Yep.
made it a point to always be in the suit, even when they were doing on street in session stuff with fans. He what was his name? The suit actor, but
Like
he always made it-
wrestlers.
well, he made it a point with Ultraman, I do know, to be in the suit for every public appearance. He was in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like wrestlers. He like aside from a couple pictures in there, he barely. I always mess it. What's it called? Raz kayfabe.
K-Fab.
Kayfabe. He a lot of those old Japanese suit actors wouldn't break character, like, and they would not show themselves off unless they.
Well, for the longest time, Toho wouldn't even acknowledge the guy's name who was playing in the suit for Godzilla. They
don't.
wouldn't do it.
It's kind of dishonorable in some ways in some cultures. Not even just in wrestling. I've noticed. For example, I know a lot of horror film actors, me being one of them. Like when we're in camera, when we're on screen, I mean, even haunters are this way too. You don't just walk up and say, hey, Bill. You don't do that. You use the character's name because we're the character now. We're not whoever we are, and it's actually insulting to break our character by trying to engage us. And that's haunters, actors,
makeup,
that's wrestlers.
Session,
When you are in costume, you will be called by that character, or it's seen as very disrespectful in all those different areas.
Well, also, it's not just disrespectful. It's uncouth and courteous for the fact that it takes a certain mental stability to get to that point and then bounce back to who you are.
Yeah.
You know, I've never been in a film, but fun fact, I've been on Jerry Springer, and not the audience, the show. And
I thought you looked familiar.
For those of you wondering, the episode is called "We're Practicing for Porn." Has nothing to do with porn, and only our skit out of the whole fucking episode is the only one.
Did you practice a lot though for porn? That's what.
Actually,
Ohio Jerry Springer is a big thing, because Jerry Springer was the actual mayor of Cincinnati for a long time.
Well,
for a while.
Well, they like fucking messed up method acting is what they want. They want horrible method.
They do. It's weird. One of my fellow acting managers at the haunt I work for was also on Springer. Rob Baker. He's a famous clown haunter in all of Ohio and honestly beyond. But he actually has his episode too, where it was him and another guy, like both wanting his ex. But the thing is, they were all friends. So it was kind of like a funny.
I got pulled onto the show because the people that invited me on, the third guy that was supposed to be on, wanted to stay home and do blow and hookers instead of go to Jerry Springer. And they were
he was practicing for porn.
They were going to the homeless shelter, which I was working at. I ran a homeless shelter for 2 years, where I volunteered and basically acted as one giant babysitter for a bunch of drugs and alcoholics. There were a few good souls in there looking to really change their life, and I pointed them in the best direction I could. But we had a lot of regulars.
I'm glad you did that.
Well, I did it for 2 years, and I will say from the age of 18 to 19, you got men ranging from the ages of, say, 42 to 79. That was the oldest we had. Eugene, great guy, passed away years ago, but you get a certain respect for the world and certain people, especially being at that young age. When you have men coming to you, addressing you as sir, and I'm sitting here, I'm just a fucking kid. I'm 18, 19 years old. What the fuck? This is different. What the hell? You get a new appreciation
recently, so because I'm all gray, so.
But I did that
when I was 10, and that's when they started calling me sir.
That's back then. They called me madam.
Well, Raz,
Madam Frank.
Raz, let's take in the context of the generation I'm from.
I'm a younger millennial.
I'm a younger millennial. Me
and Frank are old, man. Like back then, it was very different.
I'm just in between.
Well, but the funny thing is I'm a younger millennial that was raised by baby boomers.
Oh.
I don't follow this generation's logic, not one fucking bit. If anything, I belong almost 70 years behind us, guys. That's where my mindset is.
Yeah,
I'm trying to do math right now. That was then you're going to be back in the 1980s, right? 80.
Older. I'm talking the 70s.
1995. That's where you're going. That's 70 years ago, right? I'm just
rough. Like that's my grandparents' heyday was the fucking
on behalf of
50s
math,
and 60s.
fuck you, sir.
Honestly, though, it's insane to think about it. Hearing some friends of mine, like who have you experienced it, Raz, where it's like I fart dirt 149?
Yes, I've experienced farting dirt.
No,
somewhere a dinosaur is saying, "Give me back my bones, you bastard."
Remember, like our friends and some of that actually like coming up and going, "I'm a grandfather now. I'm a grandmother." I'm like, I used to see you do blow off the freaking counter. What the hell?
I know, man. It's weird because
of my brother. My parents are now grandparents. That's funny as too, and I'm a fucking uncle. What the hell?
I had this really good friend named Shauna, and going from like 5th grade. Like most of my friends all growing up from back then were females, but it was like a family thing where no one was allowed to date anyone. We were just a family, and you just stat people that fucked with your family, right? So my friend Shauna ended up having a kid, and I had never gotten to meet Bear for years, but I'd seen millions of pictures of him. I knew who he was. And then second year at the haunt, this huge guy just shows up and grabs me and picks me up and bear hugs me. He was actually taller than me and could pick me up. And I'm right about 6 foot if I can stand up, for the day. But he's much taller, much bigger. And he looks me in the face. He said, "You look familiar." And I was like, "You look familiar." Found out later that was her son. But the weird thing is, the dude, he looks a lot like me and he acts a lot like me. And for a year, he just admitted to me recently that he thought I might have secretly been his actual father, which is why he was talking to me. He's like so frequently. But now we're like, I'm not 100%. I'm not. But it was just a really funny situation, man. And like him and I are like best friends now. I just did his video for the Haunted Honeymooners fan haunter contest thing that we just got to do together. So, but weird situation like that. Like you see the people you grew up with that maybe necessarily shouldn't have had kids, have kids. And my sister's being one of them. She's got a bunch of kids, and they're all fantastic. But you get to that grandma
I
level, and my sister just hit the grandma level herself, and she's only 3 years older than me.
With having kids and families, Jesus.
Yeah, it is weird, man. It's awkward. I'm 40 now, and I'm seeing all this weird shit.
Just
you don't expect things from.
I just picture you. He's all.
I'm only 12 years behind you, so don't worry. Hey, by the way, can I get that user manual to 40? By the way, I'd love to get that now.
My whole body has been destroyed since my early 20s, like for crazy ass reasons, mostly wrestling, but other crazy reasons. I feel like I've been old for like a couple decades now, as it is. So 40 is really just not any different. It's just more of the same old shit, and I hurt just as much as I did then.
You actually do start getting the feeling of I don't care what people think anymore. So you just
I had that mental illness where I don't have that filter in my brain, so I didn't notice that transition because it was already a thing for me.
Frank, I'm already at that point now, and I'm 28. What the hell's gonna happen when I'm 60? Get the hell off my lawn!
I think the world would be shocked if I survived to 60.
No.
50, I think people would be shocked.
At 60, I want to be able to say that. It'll just be.
Susan apparently farts dirt at the age of 149 years old.
Wait. But it made me think of a video I saw this morning, was it?
I don't know.
Where it's one of the worst ways to get woken up. My fart is on the floor. It has to take the cake. Mommy, my fart is on the floor.
What she says here, I fart dirt at 149, makes me think of the movie House 2, where you've got the guy that gets dug up. He goes, "I'm a 170-year-old fart." For some reason, that scene always cracks me up.
No, you got that wrong. It's not the old men's club. It's grumpy old men's club. We got to get that right.
Oh, yeah. Who's going to be Walter Matthau? Who's going to be Jack Lemmon?
I think we switch off depending on the day, dude. Like, we just take turns.
Oh, right.
Actually, no. I take it back. Hey, dickhead! I don't know. Flip a coin. I'll be either or. I can play the role. My question is, do I get to fight someone with my fishing pole? That's my question. I want to fight someone with my fishing pole and cover their roof with ice.
Okay. I'll answer your question first. I have a question. Do you believe in yourself?
Is that a thing?
No, it is. I'm asking, do you believe in yourself?
Is this a serious question or a joke?
Yeah. Do you believe in yourself?
Do I believe in myself? Well,
just a yes or no.
See, that's not an easy answer for me to say yes or no to.
I know that's the difficulty here. It's a snap decision.
Do I believe in myself in the context I can do anything I put my fucking mind to? Absolutely.
Yes.
Obviously,
yes. Okay, that's what I'm asking. So yes, you can do whatever the fuck you want with a fishing pole.
No, the producer says it's not in the fucking budget. It's not in the fucking budget because we didn't get the fucking fishing pole. But here, you can get the stuff.
That's when you know what. That's when you were like, you know what, producer? Fuck you, guy. And you go to the store and you find yourself the prettiest, pinkest fishing pole you can. You show back up to that set. You smack the producer in the face with it, and then you jump on that camera and do what you got to do.
I don't know if I want to smack the producer. What about the director?
No, it's got to be the producer because they're the ones that told you no. Like, so you got to make a point. Like
yeah.
You don't have to hit them hard. Just just walk up and be like,
you're like, hey, this is what you forgot.
Hey.
You just smack my
head.
I
gotta go to sleep.
You gotta go to sleep.
Yeah.
I gotta be up at 2:45.
Later, you.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
We're doing a buddy check-in episode tomorrow and talking more shit about
sausage fuzz.
What do you think, Scully? I think he agrees. Yeah, my Scully.
Yes, Susan, like
Scully
Zorro
here.
to the face with a fishing pole. Just
I wonder if anyone's noticed yet, Frank.
I don't think so.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it. Unless anyone's noticed yet. All right, how you doing?
I won't notice anything, man. I'm in Raztopia.
No, Frank knows.
Where
Frank
I'm here, but I'm not here. But I'm
We are everywhere and nowhere at once,
everywhere.
or we are legion. I don't know what that means.
For we are
the
legion.
mind taker.
Who the fuck
Oh.
says I want to be connected to you on a spiritual plane?
Well, I
I
mean,
don't
we're
think
all
there's a
connected.
choice in the matter, man.
Yeah, there's no choice in it.
No,
Andre the Knucklehead
isolationism.
connects us all.
I'm in the nether realm
We
region.
are all beneath his wings.
Not my wing. I'm flapping on my own. So long, motherfuckers.
Susan, shit, what am I looking for?
I don't know, but let me know when you find it.
I think there's a song about it. You know, I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Dust in the wind. That's all we are is dust in the wind.
I think we're already at the end of the show. It's almost an hour. Wow, went by.
Wow, yeah.
And I feel like it was just getting started. What the hell?
Oh,
That's how it goes. That's how it always goes, man.
yeah, the edible's kicking in right now. Everything just hit at once. Like, here we go.
I just
all
had to
right.
take the next dose of medication they gave me from the hospital today, and my brain's already like more than
I could
usual.
totally
Great.
Joe Rogan this for 3 hours.
Oh, I
yeah,
could too.
No, you understand? We do shit like that all the time.
I'll totally.
Yeah, you can't sit with us. We it goes on for a minimum of 2 hours, and that's just us scrolling on murderers and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Well,
I have a feeling about the Frankers and Razzle show in the future, though. I think we're going to get out of hand a little bit.
yeah, this
even
is
more
actually
than
episode
usual.
0. We actually decided that right before the show that we're gonna I guess this is episode 0 of Frankers and Razzles.
And
Then I was like,
to go to what Raz was saying earlier, you know, besides your old lady wanting to know about the 3D printing, you know, what
oh,
else
that's
exactly?
that was Delphine.
that was Dell. That was my sister Dell. Yeah.
I'm terrible with names. The only reason I remember yours is because I see it on Facebook. Frank, like Punisher, Frank Castle. That's the only reason I can remember it. But Raz, obviously, I'm looking right at the computer so I can see his name.
Right.
Yeah, I can just read it right there. But the collections I actually have in here, just for a fun topic, is I have Halo stuff over here, big majority Godzilla, and Alien versus Predator. But I'm a bigger Alien fan.
Aliens.
I love Alien versus Predator. My second biggest passion would be AVP, Aliens, Predator. Though again, like I said, I am a bigger Aliens fan.
I'm going to bust out a question. This goes back to my days in the Raz and Dark podcast / Twisted Geekdom, where we would do these versus episodes. And there was one matchup that never officially got decided in like 6 years because it was such an argument. And it was who wins between Bob Gray, a.k.a. the creature that can also be Pennywise, or Xenomorphs.
You're saying a god level creature versus
Xenomorphs.
A parasite.
Yeah.
This.
I mean,
Okay, so Bob Gray,
I mean, essentially,
he's an
can't be-
interdimensional being that's stuck between the dimensions that uses his power to push through things to feed it, which is Bob Gray is what he pushes through, and Bob Gray can become anything that you fear, including Pennywise, in order to take that fear and feed on it to feed the source, the god.
Let me throw
could-
this into context then here for you, because I do
Slippy,
understand.
what's up?
Okay, we have a creature here that has no fear whatsoever, acid for blood. It's a parasitic organism, and
LSD?
has no sense of self-preservation whatsoever fucking ever. On the other hand, we have a creature that feeds off of fear, mostly off of children, and fucking with them.
Well, just because that's only because it's easier to get fear from children, but he does feed from adults and animals and things like that in smaller amounts. It just fears.
Like he's gonna get that in a xenomorph hive.
But I disagree that xenomorphs are void of fear, and this is an argument that I've long held. There is actually two moments in the original Alien films where the xenomorph displays a small level of just immediate pulling back, and they both involved Ripley.
Jenny!
They both involved Ripley. I because of the obsession with Ripley, even though they kind of fucked that up later in later films, I think that there was an inherent
You're talking
fear,
about
not
the
of
Queen
Ripley,
being
but
number
what Ripley
one.
represented.
Queen was number one. You're talking
Yes.
about from Aliens.
Yes.
Number two is
It wasn't. It didn't happen. It was 3. It was 1 and 3. There was in each of those a brief
But-
moment.
Hold up here for 1 second. I can't classify 3 as them being afraid of Ripley because she had the queen inside of her, and it wasn't trying to kill her because it wants the queen alive. So
No, it wasn't about the not killing. There was just this moment where it kind of went that direction, like they were going to, and there was this pullback, and there was this like.
thing you get to that is when what's his name, Dylan has a hold of her, but the damn thing only fucking comes snap to attention because it knows that if Dylan's not impregnated, so this could potentially hurt the host.
That's true.
So
too.
it snaps to attention.
That's true.
I wouldn't display that as fear. I would display that as hyper intelligence and situation assessment.
Fair
because
enough.
the damn thing isn't backing off. By no means is the damn thing backing off. It's still kind of like, yeah, you're going nowhere. I'm just not pushing my luck yet.
There was a Predator moment in AVP 1, though. There was a moment.
Hold up. I'm going to bust your balls on that one, too. Sorry to say. The Queen called them back. Ordered them.
I'm not talking about that at all. It was the first xenomorph that the Predator killed in AVP. There was hesitation, and it was a clear, obvious moment of hesitation because the Predator should have lost that one. It should have lost that skirmish in that moment.
That first fight, and I know
Well, is that fear or is that predatory sense?
No.
Because he's like, I don't know if I should do this.
Russ, correct me, but you're talking about the moment where the bastard went into the ceiling to hide, to jump on.
Yes.
That, in my opinion, wasn't a xenomorph running away. That was a setup because it had him clear as day with the acid on his armor. If you remember correctly, it swung its tail around, smacked him with acid. It could still engage without an issue. It didn't back off because it was afraid. It backed off because it was thinking maybe it could get the upper hand if it didn't know where he was.
But that also defeats the mindless going for it no matter what.
It depends on
style.
Well,
guys,
if they're in a hive.
You have to understand, glory to Glorzo. Glorzo is peace. Glorzo is love.
Oh, I love having a debate like this. It's fun to actually.
I mean, you have to think about it. Like literally, that's exactly what was going on there.
So all that considered, so he maybe Xenomorph showed one moment of fear that we know of, right?
Are we dealing with the it monster going against a single Xenomorph?
Queen, it's got to be
queen. Against a hive.
A queen. I mean, even no matter what that entails, even additional Xenomorphs following along with the queen.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That thing would have a rage all day.
But could. How would you go about like killing? Because we know that Bob Gray can't beat.
Is this more the rock and the hard place argument because it's one is based off fear, the other one is based off fear. So basically, they're just kind of existing within a room or a space.
Well, basically, because you can't fucking really kill it without that, psychological presence. It would basically be the damn thing would get melted over and over, reconstitute itself, try to take a chunk out of the queen until the queen gave up.
Would Pennywise even stick around there?
Probably not with all the amount of fucking.
Because if there's no fear for him to feed on, he's going to be taken off. There's no point for him to be there.
The situation in this works where it would be. I've always thought that Bob Gray could inevitably win it because the longitude. That's not even the word I'm looking for. Just the length of time that it can survive, but he does have to sleep, and that's the thing with he's got to go dormant in order to feed the god that's between the realms that's trying to break into ours.
Actually, it's still yet to be seen how long a xenomorph's life really is.
Right, next thing, not knowing that, opposed to Bob Gray having to have that rest where that dimensional god is pulling all the energy in order to get closer to our reality.
Which came first, xenomorph or the egg? Well,
the xenomorph, the
egg, if you go by the movie, and then if we go by Covenant, the egg.
If you go by not Prometheus, what was the sequel to Prometheus? Covenant, which I'm sorry, I fucking loved it.
That literally aspects of it.
Okay, hold up. Here is Covenant. Now the alien is a prodigy of a robot with daddy issues.
I mean, how else is this going to start?
Okay,
it's got to start somewhere. But regardless, you have.
Fuck that.
He actually created the facehugger first.
My issue with Covenant was Ridley Scott just got too fucking big for his chomps with that film. Alien was a production between multiple different minds.
Well, and everyone has been on the writing staff too.
That too, but Alien was a multitude of collaborative minds and efforts coming together. Not just H.R. Giger, not fucking Ridley Scott. And I get really fucking tired of Ridley tooting his own fucking horn like he's the only one responsible for fucking Alien. I'm like, dude,
real fast,
fucking
guys,
film.
Real fast. Sorry. Susan said she loved it too. I've been waiting for the sequel. Part 2 is Covenant. Part 1 is
Prometheus.
Prometheus.
Yep.
Which, don't get me
And-
wrong, Frank, I liked Prometheus. I
I
was
loved
one of
it.
the guys that
we
loved
have
it.
interesting news from that franchise though, because we have
The
found
show?
out for sure, not just the show.
I heard there
So
was
they're
a show
going to do
coming.
this show. We are also officially going to get the movie that happens that ties together Covenant and Alien.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's what Susan was talking about then.
Yeah, we are getting
It's 'cause it's
the middle
yeah.
movie that ties everything in, and
Yeah, it's supposed
we
to be
are
70
getting
years,
Sigourney
60
Weaver
some years
back.
on the backbone of that.
Susan,
fucking
you'll see at the
30-something
end.
backbone.
Go watch Prometheus. You'll see toward the end because I didn't honestly. I went in with Prometheus thinking it was just another Ridley, a cool
no.
new. I thought it was a new Ridley Scott movie that was going to be just whatever. I didn't know until
Okay.
the end. That was like, oh, this is
Okay, hold up.
Sorry.
You were one of the few fucking people that went and saw Prometheus. I had no fucking clue it was going to be
Oh, I
attached
saw
to
it.
Alien. Everyone else I knew.
I didn't
including
watch any.
myself,
I didn't watch any of the promotional
Oh,
stuff. I didn't
honestly-
see any of it. I literally just ignored it all. I didn't see anything. I was
well,
like,
it's a good
oh,
thing you
this might be
did.
cool.
It's a good thing you did because with the way they promoted Prometheus, that's what killed that fucking film was because they made it so tied to fucking Alien when it should have been its own thing. And like honestly, that's my opinion. It would have done much better being its own standalone story advertised like that. Not
I see
not-
why they do it. You
Yeah.
have to progress. You have to start the story somewhere, and it has to. I'm sorry. Give me a second. What?
Oh, you're good.
Okay. Sorry. You have to progress the movie at a certain point, and in order, if you're going to hit the ground running with an apex predator, which is what the queen, the xenomorphs are, where did it come from? How did it start? And that was actually something I actually really liked because it actually involved
Well, if you
humans
read-
and where humanity started, which
well,
was
you don't
neat.
read the comics for Alien and Predator, do you? Do you?
Oh
guys?
no, I literally only
Oh, I
watched
have.
movies.
I've
and-
read them
Okay,
all.
then.
The original
then-
Atari Jaguar video game. I
Oh
mean,
man! You
Oh, I
know
play
what
the
we'll
games.
talk about now. All right, Raz, you know exactly what I'm going to point out now. All right, we have Xeno Prime. That was
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
comics.
Yep.
That was the homeworld of the fucking aliens.
But
that was
you have-
explained in the comics a long
it
time
was,
ago.
but the problem
You
is,
actually had a
listen,
predator. Hold up for a second, Raz. To give some context to Frank here, in the comics, you had a predatory species, not just the Yautja, aka Predator, that actually fed off of the xenomorphs. It had an actual ecosystem that they expanded on.
From what I remember, the comics AVP was not canon to either storyline. It was kind of like its own thing.
Yes,
And
originally
no.
it was created
Yes and
to
no.
not be canon originally, but then they crossed over some very serious moments.
They
So what it
did-
is there are aspects of it in certain
Yes,
runs,
certain comic
are-
runs, yes.
and then half of it's not.
Yeah, Raz
Because
is
it got
absolutely
kinda-
right. It's basically to give a comparison to that. It's what Fox did with the X-Men franchise of theirs.
well, I mean, either
How
way,
they
but when you're
basically
looking at
modeled
it
everything
though, when you're seeing it though, like from the you're basically saying like, yeah, okay, they did all this stuff in the comics and all this other stuff, but then you have the movies timeline and everything like that, which there's the
Which-
actual
that's-
xenomorph movies. But aside from it, none of it really
It's
was.
the Wayland Yutani Chronicles is the thing. That is what's canon. And everything that involves specifically Wayland Yutani and AVP, all of that is what's specifically canon, and it's
Yeah.
the importance of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
if it has Wayland, it's supposed to be canon. But here's now the problem, and Raz can also either back me or correct me on this one. Now that it's been taken over by Disney and Marvel's getting the run at the comics, none of the comics now, they did a Disney situation. None of those fucking comics are now canon to those films with have Wayland Yutani in it that were supposed to be canon.
Oh yeah, they're
They went back on it.
Yep.
They are now. They have
Wait, yeah, man?
decided that they will keep just the Wayland and
thank
Yutani
fucking
stuff.
God.
I'm sure they'll make some minor changes. They're
So-
talking about making some changes with
so
the
you're
TV show
telling
to bring
me-
some of that in, but
So, Raz, you're telling me that Fire and Stone and Life and Death are still fucking canon?
ish. But they're
Please tell-
revitalizing the canon, kind of like what Disney's doing, where it's picked certain things out and it's bringing it officially
I
back.
want those fucking stories. I want those stories fucking made. I want Fire and Stone and
I mean, you
Life
can-
and Death made.
We'll get
Yeah.
aspects of them and pieces of them in
Frank,
other stories.
Okay,
is
Frank,
what
to
we'll
give you
get.
context of what Fire and Stone and Life and Death is, they did a comic run for the first time for Prometheus added. They actually did a Prometheus comic. It was the first time Prometheus got it. But they did the story such with 4 parts. You had Prometheus, Alien, Predator, AVP. 4 separate stories. They had their own separate little ways, but they all still fit together as
Yep.
one cohesive story, which is really cool. They did 2 runs like this. They did Fire and Stone and Life and Death, which are specifically canon to Prometheus and aliens, and actually gave us a better gap in understanding at what the hell Prometheus set up. The black goo shit that they were so adamant at showing us in Prometheus, the fucking comic finally gave us an explanation of what this shit was, what its purpose. Well, more or less, it's the collage of a shit ton of genetic material that's so alive, it's unstable. It doesn't know what it wants to be. That's
It's
the
based
problem.
on it's based on one of the many scientific creation myths about how we all come from primordial ooze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's
basically
so
the whole concept of it.
It's basically a primordial ooze that
Teeming with
will
life.
never evolve unless in contact with an evolved organism, whether it be carbon life form or plant-based otherwise. It will fuck it up and change it entirely.
It evolves itself and its host, and then it creates the next generation of the ooze, which each time the ooze forms, it's a newer version that's updated with all the DNA it's ever touched.
But Raz,
Susan, real fast. Susan, that is so then you watched Prometheus. The next one you want to watch is Covenant.
Yeah,
Covenant,
which unfortunately, if you want to call the sequel to Prometheus, was basically a 3-minute fucking trailer.
Yeah,
yeah, but it still did right. It still did good.
They did the xenomorph terraforming right though, where it all went into the air.
Yeah,
that's something that people hated, but that's something that I particularly loved actually seeing that. That was fucking brilliant to see.
But the thing is when you look at Fire and Stone and Life and Death, they did a better job of explaining what that primordial ooze was, explaining what it does, and what happens when you leave it alone. Here's a cool thing, Frank. You remember in Prometheus how we leave off in the film that we have all those jars spilling out and making a mess? All right, here's the funny thing. What is it, Roz? Almost 70 or 120 years later, roughly, a science team goes and tries to piggyback on the Prometheus expedition, trying to figure out what happened to it. That's how the story picks up. They're going to that planet.
It was sort of a Lovecraft at the Mountains of Madness setup, where you've got these people going in to re-explore an old expedition, and what they find is terrifying and murders them all.
Yeah,
and
but what the person
more
who
than the
was in
murder,
charge
it's the madness.
tells them what they were looking for. She tricked them into it. So, but anyway, we get there and we find out that black fucking ooze has spawned an entire fucking ecosystem, a forest with rivers, streams, waterfalls, and it's literally terraforming the entire fucking planet. Remember
basically the symbiote planet in the Marvel universe, very similar to the whole concept behind that. Yeah,
literally, like the whole thing that you just made comment on about how you like the terraforming shit. Well, we just get to witness it more of like a sped up evolutionary version of it from hell, essentially. Everything from the insects, the monkeys, basically the sharks. They're all xenomorphic in nature. They're violent, they're aggressive, they're mean. They will literally kill anything. You watch these two different ants tear each other the fuck apart, these two small hives and shit. You see an android who has synthetic DNA, essentially. You find out what happens when we put this black goo to synthetic DNA. What happens then? Like, we get some really cool concepts. A predator even gets infected by the fucking shit.
Multiples, actually, because they were sending their young warriors to prove themselves. Well, you had to survive for X amount of time on that planet as a predator.
And here's the cool thing. They make the predators canon to the aliens' timeline without muddying everything. The predators just show the fuck up because this is the new world to hunt on, which is really cool. When you start the story out reading it, Frank, it starts out with Prometheus. You get to see what's called the killing field. You have honestly no fucking clue really what's there. But for those of you who've read that comic and know, it is just a fucking field of what looks like wild xenomorphic buffalo. Slaughtered, skinned, beheaded, a fucking field of them. Lo and behold, this research team has no fucking clue. They've literally stumbled in the middle of a hunting session, and these fuckers have been watching them this entire fucking time. But the predators don't fucking engage them because they're trying to figure out this world just as much as the humans are. And then on top of that, you got the engineer, which has no fucking, it doesn't want anyone there. The engineer will kill xenomorphs, humans, and predators on sight. One predator in particular, which I have that figure on my shelf, Ahab. His story, his whole goal is to find one of these bastards and kill it and take its fucking skull. He wants to kill an engineer.
It's the ultimate prize in their race.
We get to see that fight. The engineer single-handedly, fisticuffs, just beats the fuck out of him. Like, seriously, we watch this thing go toe-to-toe with him and just beats the fuck out of Ahab. Beats his ass. The only way he beat the damn thing was they blew a ship up behind him, which they thought they were going to kill Ahab in the process. That was the old boy's goal. But Ahab just comes fucking out with the fucking skull. Just, and I was like, that's fucking awesome. I want him on my shelf now. But yeah, again,
epic,
Firestone, Life and Death. They did that story, Frank. And that's why I'm so disappointed with some of the things in the comics. Granted, yes, a lot is not canon. Absolutely. But some of those stories, like that new story, and that second part was geared off for a third part to happen after after Fire and Stone, which the ending to that was an engineer ship with a predator and several people coming over Paradise, which, whoa, where was Paradise? Alien Covenant. They were about to connect Covenant into it too.
And it was Creation Destruction was going to be the next one they did, but then they didn't end up doing.
By the way, I may or may not have these digitally for me to give you at a whim's notice on a Google Drive.
Oh, you'd love them, man. They're good.
That I can send you a link to with over 1,000 comics, including Spawn. I may or may not have that saved.
So,
I may or may not be able to give you a link so you can read those yourself. Possibly, I don't know. It works after the show. No
we
idea.
are 10 minutes over right now, and I got.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah.
So, but there you go. This is episode 0, I guess.
Hey, shooting the shit. I'm glad to be on. I could still go for another 2 hours.
Oh, I know. If it wasn't if I didn't have to be up in the morning, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's keep this going.
No. Yeah. Oh no, you're absolutely fine because that means we get to save more for later. You just get a taste of your new friend here on the show.
All right, guys. I'm trying to find the outro. Here it is. I think I found it. There we go. I found it. Okay.
Well, before we go, I'll let everyone know where they can find me real fast.
Yes.
All right. Here on Facebook, you can find me at Cloaking Arbiter Prints and Customs. That's CLOAKINGARBITER, all one word, Prints and Customs. I'm here on Facebook. You can find my Facebook group and join. Through my Facebook group, you will be able to find my YouTube channel as well, which is Cloaking Arbiter Figurine Toy Reviews. I want to give a shout out real fast to a business partner of mine, Blunt Gaming, I do believe. Fuck, I can't remember off the top of my head. Blunt Gaming, I do believe is his handle. He just got started and got promoted, so I want to give a shout out to him. That's where you guys can find me.
Nice.
So there you go.
Nice.
All right.
That's all I got to say.
Signing off for me, Team Pterodactyl, SAS, vote for Amelia now. Immediately. Just do it.
For Amelia, scaryface.com.
Yes, scaryface.com. Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Have a good night.
Don't forget to suck it.
Peace out. And no one noticed.
We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.